Okay, so I recently rewatched Enchanted after I think what was a few years, mainly because the sequel came out and because this film's very nostalgic to me. But I realised while rewatching it that this film has a lot of valuable lessons to be taken away from it, which obviously I wouldn't have really acknowledged when I was like 7. Anyway, I do genuinely believe that apart from the true love's kiss and, happily ever after at the end, which is just classic fairy tale storytelling, there's a lot to be taken away from this movie outside of just entertainment value. So let's talk about it. So the movie explores the concept of if a genuine princess from a genuine fairy tale land was put in the real world, specifically New York, and how she would react to this. From the get-go, we can tell that she's clearly going to have, a hard time settling in all by herself because, to the general public, she just looks like a crazy woman. But fortunately, a lawyer and his daughter come across her and, out of concern, they take her in for the night. From then on, we're taken through a story of love, heartbreak, and rats cleaning toilets with toothbrushes. Anyway, you're probably wondering, how does a film with singing cockroaches teach me anything about life? Well, you would be surprised. The first lesson to be taken away from this film is that the real world is cruel. When Giselle enters the real world, she's faced with the reality that not every marriage lasts, and not everyone uses curtain drapes to make themselves dresses. No, but seriously, knowing she's lived her entire life up to this point in basically a perfect fairy tale land, and now she's suddenly thrown into New York, it's going to lead her to discover, a lot about life. People who you thought loved you leave out of the blue, couples divorce, pieces are ruined, It's a sad world, but we have to focus on the positives, like Giselle does. We don't live in a perfect world. We wish things could be different, but life is life, so stop wasting time focusing on the negatives and focus on the positives. Come on now. Another lesson learned from this film, which mainly applies to guys, is that women like spontaneity and fun. When Nancy walks into the apartment and sees Giselle on top of Robert, she's quick to assume there's something going on between the two, which, is completely fair, to be honest. Kind of caught them at, an odd time. Now Robert doesn't know what to do and he assumes Nancy won't talk to him for, a while because of this. But then Giselle uses her weird, bird communication powers to send Nancy flowers and an invite to the ball. And Nancy forgives Robert because of this. She doesn't know Giselle did it, she thought it was Robert. It just goes to show that if you do something unexpected and fun for your woman, she will be grateful for it and she will thank you. If you do her wrong, even if it was by no fault of your own, like for Robert, apologizing over and over isn't gonna help. Just surprise her instead. Be spontaneous, express your love. Take notes, boys. Lesson 3. Couples can figure things out. We learn in the film that Robert isn't just a regular lawyer, he's a divorce lawyer, and he's in the midst of divorcing a married couple until Giselle and her, overwhelmingly positive aura intervenes. Yes, it's pretty cliche how the couple go on to say, that maybe we were meant to meet Giselle, to reignite their marriage, but it teaches every couple having hard times that this is just how it gets in marriage. There will be ups and downs, and if any resentment stems between one another, it needs to be spoken about sooner rather than later. You got married for a reason, you fell in love for a reason, so find that reason again and talk about it. Also, if you're not 100% that you want to get married, don't get married yet. But you knew that. At least I hope you did. Lesson 4. There is no such thing as the one. Now, you might not like me for saying this, but unfortunately, we don't live in a fairy tale land, people. Giselle and Prince Edward both have the idea that there's one true love out there for them, but at the end of the film, when they both end up with someone else, they, prove themselves wrong. See, there is no such thing as the one, because there is many ones, maybe millions of people that meet your criteria for a partner. Okay, Giselle and Edward may have been in love just like Robert and Nancy were, but they met someone else they fell in love with too. I'm not saying love's not real, of course it is, but there is no single individual who is the perfect one for you. There's many. Thinking there is a one out there for you will only lead to heartbreak if you do meet who you think is, the one, and then you end up separating, because then you'll move forward in life with the idea that this one is no longer there for you, and that anyone you meet from now on won't live up to the one. Now, if you're still kind of skeptical about what I'm saying, just go read the book, How to Not Die Alone. You're welcome. And lesson 5. Men need to stick up for themselves. At the start of the film, we see this in Nathaniel, who's clearly very obedient to Queen Nerissa and will do anything to win her approval. Obviously, she's very aware of this and uses it to exploit him into poisoning Giselle. But by the end of the film, Nathaniel comes to realize that he's only doing what he's doing to win the approval of, an extremely horrible and wicked person. And he's betraying Prince Edward in the process, who trusts him. So at the end, he switches sides and he reveals how the poisoning of Giselle can be undone. What a guy, man. What a guy. This teaches everyone to stand up for themselves and to not tolerate anyone who doesn't want the best for you. You need to find supportive people in your life and don't give in to something that you don't genuinely want to do just so that you can impress someone else. God damn. Okay, so this obviously wasn't a typical movie breakdown, but watching this movie brought a lot of nostalgia to me, and actually taking a deeper dive into it led me to discover many underlying messages to take away, which honestly just made me appreciate it more. I might do a video on the movie sequel Disenchanted, but I didn't like the movie that much, so I'll see. If you do want a video on that movie, let me know in the comments. So I very much hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time around. Bye.